Long before modern humans built cities. Before the first written words. Before farming transformed the way humans lived. Another human species was already doing something extraordinary. They were moving. They were leaving the safety of familiar lands and stepping into a world they had never seen before. Their name was Homo Erectus. And their journey would become one of the greatest migrations in human history. Around 1.8 million years ago, Homo erectus began spreading beyond Africa. They crossed landscapes filled with uncertainty. Endless deserts, dense forests, high mountains, and regions where powerful predators ruled the food chain. They had no maps, no roads, no technology like we have today. Only their instincts, their intelligence, and their ability to adapt. But perhaps the most incredible part is this. They were not just escaping danger. They were searching for something beyond survival. They were exploring. They were becoming the first truly global humans. One of the greatest mysteries about Homo erectus is this. How did a species with a smaller brain than ours achieve such remarkable success? The answer may not have been intelligence alone. It was flexibility. Their bodies were designed for movement. Their legs were built for long journeys across open landscapes. Their shoulders and hips allowed them to walk efficiently for hours. Unlike earlier ancestors who still depended partly on trees, Homo erectus belonged fully to the ground. They were not simply walking. They were traveling. And every step they took opened a new chapter in human history. But their greatest achievement may have been something that completely changed the future of our species. Something we often take for granted today. Fire. Imagine a world without electricity. Without houses. Without modern protection. A world where darkness meant danger. Where the cold could kill. Where predators waited outside the safety of a small group. Then imagine the moment ancient humans learned to control a flame. A small light against an enormous darkness. Fire gave them warmth. It protected them from predators. It allowed them to survive colder environments. But fire did something even more important. It changed the way humans ate. Cooking made food easier to digest. More energy became available. And that extra energy helped support larger brains. More complex behavior. And eventually the societies that would define humanity. A simple flame became one of the most powerful inventions in human history. Homo erectus also transformed the way humans created tools. They produced carefully designed stone hand axes. These were not random rocks picked from the ground. Each tool required planning, skill, and imagination. The maker had to see something that did not exist yet, and then shape the stone until the idea became reality. This was more than toolmaking. It was a sign of a changing mind. A mind capable of thinking about the future. But after surviving for almost 2 million years, one of the longest chapters in human history eventually came to an end. Homo erectus disappeared. But why? Scientists are still searching for the full answer. The climate changed. Environments transformed. Resources became harder to find. Other human species appeared and competed for survival. Perhaps many small pressures slowly pushed them toward extinction. Or perhaps their story ended because evolution was always moving forward. But their legacy never vanished. Because Homo erectus was not just another extinct species. They were one of the foundations of the human journey. Their migrations, their tools, and their survival strategies shaped the future of every human species that came after them. But the story of lost humans does not end with Homo erectus. Between ancient travelers and later humans like Neanderthals and Homo sapiens, there was another mysterious group. A species standing at a turning point in human evolution. Homo heidelbergensis. They lived hundreds of thousands of years ago, during a time when human abilities were rapidly changing. Their brains were larger than earlier human species. Their bodies were powerful. And their behavior revealed something important. Humans were beginning to do more than simply survive. They were beginning to create. Imagine a cold landscape hundreds of thousands of years ago. A group of humans stands surrounded by nature. No buildings. No walls. No protection from the elements. Only wind, rain, and dangerous animals. But instead of waiting for nature to provide shelter, they begin changing their surroundings. They collect wood. They use animal materials. They arrange stones. Slowly, a space begins to take shape. A place where their group can rest. A place where children can be protected. A place that belongs to them. This was a powerful moment in human history. Because humans were no longer only adapting to the world. They were beginning to reshape it. Homo heidelbergensis were also skilled hunters. They faced enormous animals that could easily kill them. Success required more than strength. It required teamwork. One person could not defeat dangerous prey alone. They needed communication. They needed planning. They needed trust. And this ability to cooperate became one of humanity's greatest advantages. The strength of humans was never only in their bodies. It was in their ability to work together. But the exact place of Homo heidelbergensis in our family tree remains a mystery. Were they direct ancestors of modern humans? Were they the ancestors of Neanderthals? Or were they a separate branch that disappeared forever? Scientists are still searching. But one thing is certain. They were not primitive failures. They were another experiment in what humanity could become. For a long time, scientists believed evolution followed a simple pattern. Bigger brains. Bigger bodies. Greater intelligence. A straight path toward modern humans. Then one discovery changed everything. A tiny human species found on an island thousands of miles away. Homo floresiensis. The humans known as the hobbits. In 2003, researchers discovered their remains on the Indonesian island of Flores. And the discovery created shock around the world. These were adult humans. But they were incredibly small. Around 1 meter tall. With very small brains compared to ours. Yet they created tools. They hunted. They survived. They existed successfully for thousands of years. The discovery forced scientists to ask a fascinating question. How could a small human species achieve complex behavior? The answer may be connected to isolation. Islands can change the rules of evolution. When a population becomes separated from the rest of the world, it follows its own path. Animals can become smaller over generations when resources are limited. This process is called island dwarfism. And Homo floresiensis may have experienced something similar. They were not becoming less human. They were becoming something different. A reminder that evolution does not have one final destination. There is no single formula for survival. But their discovery created an even bigger mystery. How many other human species are still waiting beneath the ground? How many stories remain hidden inside ancient caves? Buried beneath forgotten landscapes? Waiting for someone to find them? Because the human family tree may still contain branches we have not discovered. And then came one of the strangest discoveries of all. A discovery made not through a complete skeleton, but through a tiny fragment of bone. Inside Denisova cave in Siberia, scientists found a small finger bone. At first, they believed it belonged to a known human species. But DNA analysis revealed something unexpected. This bone belonged to a completely unknown group of ancient humans. The Denisovans. The Denisovans changed everything. Because their story was not revealed through fossils alone. It was written inside their DNA. Genetic evidence showed that Denisovans were spread across parts of Asia. They survived in different environments. From freezing regions of Siberia to the extreme heights of the Tibetan Plateau. And their legacy continues today. Some modern humans carry Denisovan DNA, including genes that help certain populations adapt to life at high altitudes. Just like the Neanderthals, the Denisovans were not completely erased from history. They are still connected to us. Their genetic fingerprints remain inside modern humans. A reminder of a forgotten truth. Ancient humans were never separate worlds. They met. They interacted. They shared their lives. And sometimes, they became part of each other. But these discoveries reveal something even bigger. The human family tree is far more complex than anyone imagined. And there are still missing chapters waiting to be uncovered. But our story isn't over yet. In the final chapter, we'll meet Homo naledi, a human species with a surprisingly small brain, yet one that may have been far more complex than anyone ever imagined. Did they have spiritual beliefs? Did they bury their dead? And finally, we'll uncover the biggest mystery of all. Did these ancient humans truly disappear? Or does a part of them still live on, inside every one of us? This is the final chapter of our incredible journey.